of Today with Pastor Jay on WNZF News Radio, 94.9 FM, 1550 AM. That airs on Sunday morning at 8 a.m. It will air this Sunday morning. What's Sunday's date? October the 9th. Really? Wow. Okay, October 9th. This is going to air Sunday morning, October 9th. And my highly esteemed guest is none other than Jamie Furry. She is the other half of the Will Furry team, Will Furry for Flagler County School Board. And we're just going to have candid conversation on what's going on and get her perspective. So that's going to be neat. We're going to start rolling in just a moment. And thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks
I
for
want to make
having
sure
me.
you speak into
Yes.
the microphone. I know you're nervous. It's going to be
Oh, no, we're good.
painless.
I did this before with Will Furry's real estate show.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's been a while.
Okay. Let me know when you're ready, Mark.
You are now tuned in to Today with Pastor Jay on WNZF News Radio, where we discuss inspiring and informative news. And now here's your host, Pastor Jerlyn Denny.
Good morning, good morning. Wake up and good morning. What a wonderful, beautiful, and great day it is to be alive, to be breathing air. And speaking of the air, it's been nice and crisp and cool as we wake up in the morning. And I'm just grateful for that. My highly esteemed guest this morning is none other than Jamie Furry. She is the other half of the Will Furry for Flagler County School Board. And I know you're probably going, yeah, I'm beyond Flagler County School Board. I'm the wife. I'm the it. Been married for 17 years, right?
That's right.
Yeah, 17
Yeah.
years. So y'all had some ups and downs and
Of course. Who doesn't?
yeah.
17 years.
But
Mostly up.
I want to thank you so much for your bravery about coming on this show, because we're going to speak candidly about what it's like to be the wife of a candidate. Yesterday, someone said, "Oh, school board is not a political race; it's non-part." I'm going, well, they're called candidates. They run for office. They're
Right.
voted on. Yeah, this is politics. This
Yeah.
isn't just a thing. It's politics.
Yeah, I see where people think that, though. I kind of thought that before we got into it.
Well, let's talk about. I like how you said before we got into it, because you're a team.
Oh, we're always a team. We've been a team since day one.
Let's talk about how he got here. I mean, I've heard Will's side of the story, what made him run for office, but what was your? I mean, because I know you guys discuss everything at home.
Hmm.
How did this come about?
Yeah. So one day, Will just came to me one evening and he was like, you know, Jamie, I feel like I need to run for school board. I think I need to do something. Like the kids were coming home with crazy stories from things at school. And he was just like, I need to step up. I feel called to do this and be a part and be at the seat. And I said, okay. And he said, you know, it's going to be hard. And I said, okay. And I didn't know it was going to be this
You
hard.
didn't know it was going to be this hard.
No, I thought he was just trying to prepare me for the worst, but
Yeah, when I first met Will, I was going, this guy has no idea how challenging this is going to be.
right. And I don't know.
Because he's just so happy go
Yeah.
lucky and so smiley and want the best for everyone. And I can see that you're emotional because this has been hard for you.
Oh yeah,
How
it's
has
been a
this
challenge.
How has this changed your life?
Well, I mean, I don't know how I'd say it's changed my life. That's a hard question there. But you know, you just look at things differently. Like you don't know who thinks of you in different ways. Like I hate thinking that way, you know, but you put your kids like let's say in a summer camp or on a team and you don't know what those other parents or those coaches or those teachers feel about your husband politically. I never had to think that way before. And I
And you
hate
had
thinking
an
that way.
incident, right?
Yeah, there has been with our son. He was at a camp and
How old is he?
He's 11.
11. Okay.
And he did one camp all summer. He was really excited for it. And by day 4, I pick him up and he said, "Oh yeah, they asked me if I'm embarrassed when I see my dad's signs around town."
Really?
And I thought that's just crazy. But I don't want my kids to feel weird about
You're
it.
not naming a name, and I won't name who the person was either, but this was a teacher that was fired from Flagler County Schools.
It was.
Um, and most people don't even know that this incident happened, but a teacher of Flagler County Schools asked your son if he was embarrassed.
Yeah. And I for the first time I saw that divide that you hear about, like
Mm-hmm.
how they'll get in and love on your kid and try to divide your family. And that was the first time we really saw that firsthand. And that's something you really have to work with your kid. We're a very strong family and we love each other. We support each other. And for that just little nugget of thought to get in his head, and we need to work backwards on that of like, well, why would you? And you're not. And I'm sorry so that was said to you. Very strange, because this person had a real trying to make a really big relationship with my son. So
Mm.
for 3 days, she was his best friend,
And
and
then
and
on the
then that
fourth
happened.
day,
Yeah, yeah.
wow.
So that's hard. And then it's like, what? Do you not let them be in other stuff because that could happen again? How do you protect your kids in this kind of environment? Or do you send them out and then you have to regroup later? It's tough.
It's tough on the family. And I know there was an instance when you were verbally assaulted.
Yeah.
You're thinking, okay, flag, okay, school board, and those that are listening, you don't think that these things that are going to happen.
No, you don't. And I didn't. And it was crazy. I was, yeah, it was during the primaries, and
Hmm.
I was just, holding the signs out, doing my thing, showing for my husband I love him, I support him, and we're hoping you'll
Hmm.
come vote for him too. So, yeah, somebody came up to me and was yelling at me about the signs, and I just was there doing my thing, and it's crazy. And then they were recording me, and that was awkward because I didn't know. I don't know to look for that stuff. And somebody else noticed, and they're like, "Hey, he's recording you." And I said, "What?"
Mm.
So that was crazy to even think those things could happen to you. I never thought that before.
During the last few years, and we've seen how politics have played out in Flagler County and throughout the nation, on TV and on the internet, you never thought that you would be the subject of that. Have you had to have a conversation with your children going, be careful? Someone could be trying to record you. And it's crazy to even think that,
Yeah.
but you have to be aware of your surroundings at all times, especially when you have an adult that tried to befriend your son, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden go flip mode and say, are you embarrassed by your dad's signs?
Right. We have children that don't have like this innate fear in them.
Mm-hmm.
They're not scared to go up to a stranger and ask for help, like at a store or a restaurant and things like that. So we never want to instill this fear in them that really could be non-existent. So we haven't warned them. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
people could be recording you, because really kids should be left out of it. And I've thought that was the rule. It turns out it's not. But we that one incident we did discuss it. We let them know that these things can happen, and if anything comes up political, to let us know, and then we'll deal with it at that time. But I don't want my
Super smart.
kids to think their
Super smart.
teacher could be somebody that's against their dad, because a teacher is a teacher and they're there for
Supposedly.
them. Yeah.
Supposedly, that's the way
Right.
it's supposed to be.
And I really believe that most people have a good heart. And so I don't want my kids to think otherwise.
Mm. I've seen some stuff play out, and particularly there's one incident I want to talk about. Um, but before I've seen some stuff play out on social media.
Hmm.
Man, they be hating on Will Furry.
Wow, they sure do. They're
Do you-
creative.
They're creative. You don't watch a whole lot of it and read a whole lot of that stuff because it
I
probably.
had to get off. It was killing me. It's so mean and vicious. And we're a team and we really do look at each other as one. And so when you say something about my husband, you're saying it about our family. And it's painful and it's difficult. And I just had to get off of Facebook. I couldn't watch that stuff anymore.
Mm. Well, we're going to take a break. Don't go anywhere. Don't touch that dial. When you come back, we're going to talk about how his opponent, Courtney Vandebunte, have been slandering him with lie on top of lie on top of lie. And I've got the evidence and the proof right here, guys. Don't go anywhere. Don't touch that dial. You're listening to Today with Pastor Jay. Okay. How much time was in that segment? Okay. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I didn't want to get into that. I want to get into this. Okay. Uh, okay, ready? Welcome back. You're listening to Today with Pastor Jay, and I have Jamie Fury, the wife of school board candidate Will Furry. And I'm going to tell you, there has been some nasty, when I say nasty, nasty throwdowns on social media, especially these political forums. And a lot of them are geared just to bash and smash whatever candidate of their choice. They're not even impartial about it. They're created just to bash certain candidates. That's all they're created to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a place where you're really getting information or anything like that. They're just doing that. But there was something that came across that I'm currently looking at right now from Flagler County. It says Courtney Vandebunte, Flagler County School Board. She has her endorsement. She has this other stuff and everything on here. But there's one thing on here that she says is that she has no criminal history, but then she leaves it out on the Will Furry side, saying as though he has a criminal history. Well, Will Furry sent a cease and desist, a demand to Courtney that he sent to the supervisor of election office. He sent it to Courtney Vandebunte, and it says, "This is a demand that you cease and desist any advertisements or spoken word claiming or implying that I have a criminal history. I have no criminal history. Attached is evidence that you are spreading false information and are in violation of Section 104.271 of Florida statute. Govern yourself accordingly." So he did this. Her response, get this. "Hi, Katie. I hope you and yours fared well during the hurricane with no damage. I just wanted to clarify that the email sent by Will below is misleading because there is proof that he does in fact have a criminal history. The reason I chose the word history is because there are documents showing that he was involved in a domestic violence dispute in Miami in 2003. I am waiting for further documentation before I respond. The reason but why that is why I chose to use the term criminal history instead of charges, etc., is I spoke with two different police departments who shared details on these matters, which I used to request a public records request, but I'm currently waiting on them. So I'm going to hold off replying to him until I receive more detailed documentation. My demand to court." So this is what she said. This is what she sent. He, in fact, has a criminal history. Guys, let me, and I'm going to delicately, as best I possibly can, talk about this criminal history that she has been posting all over social media. She got her friends and families and everybody else that support her supporters, her group of, I don't want to call anybody any names, but her group of people, the criminal history that she is referring to, which is sad. It is so sad that she would stoop this low in a campaign to cause drama within a family that causes, I mean, his children probably have run across this or will eventually. Somebody will show it to him or something like that along those lines, to say that he has a criminal history. You know what criminal history that they're talking about, guys? Get this. Will Furry is the victim of domestic violence. That's the criminal history that she's referring to, that he has criminal history. He is the victim of domestic violence. In fact, I'm holding in my hand the court order from the the 11th Judicial Court. And it says, "After hearing the testimony of each party present and of witnesses, and upon consent of respondent, the court finds, based on the specific facts of this case, that petitioner," who the petitioner was Will Furry, by the way, "is a victim of domestic violence." That's what it says. Court order, signed, sealed, delivered. And this is what Courtney Vandebunte is using to say that she has no criminal history and Will Furry has criminal history. What kind of person does that? And first, I want to tell you, I am a survivor of domestic violence. I'm a survivor of domestic violence. And I can't even imagine, even though being a survivor of domestic violence, having to relive this over and over and over again. Plus, men are not seen as those being the victim of domestic violence. Sometimes they're often seen as the aggressor. And Will isn't here to speak for himself, but I know that this has hurt you. I know that this has hurt him. And again, I thank you so much for even us discussing this. But how do you handle this? How are you handling this? First of all, thank you so much again for even talking about this delicate topic. You can tell I'm very irate about it, because someone is profiting off the harm that has been done to your family.
Yeah, Pastor Jay, it's crazy because, first of all, Will got this report in like a day, which she supposedly has requested. So she should already have it if she requested the report, because this is the one. And second, I was there, not at the court hearing, but I was a part of Will's life when he got this restraining order. And he got this restraining order because of protection for me. Because the incident that just sent it over the edge, and this is his ex-girlfriend.
Right.
And they didn't have a good relationship.
She was violent during the relationship,
Yeah.
and he never reported it.
And she was out of the picture when we met. Well, I mean, she was supposed to be, but she didn't quite leave. And so the incident that happened is she came by the house and we were inside. She was irate that she heard a female's voice inside.
Of course.
And she went away. And Will and I were watching a movie, and then the next thing we know is a rock goes through the window. And I'm not talking a little rock. Like, we're talking like
a boulder.
Yeah, like two fist size.
Right.
Scratches the side of my eye. I mean, if that thing would have been
my goodness,
1 inch over.
I didn't even realize
Oh,
that you
yeah.
had been...
I got a cut on the side of my eye. I still have a minor scar that no one would notice, but I know it's there. And 1 inch over, I could have probably lost my eye. That thing was so big. Glass was everywhere. And she didn't know who I was. She didn't.
She was just mad.
She was mad.
She was mad because she could no longer control, or she wanted to do damage, because that's what people who are the aggressors in domestic violent relationships are. They want to control you. If you're happy, they don't want you to happy. Everything is about them. So even though he had broke it off, which I'm grateful and thankful that he did, she still didn't, she was coming to his house. And this is me telling the story, because I deal with domestic violence victims all the time. She was at the house, not looking for you. She was going to probably demand her way back in his life.
Right. Yeah. But you know what? I'll tell you that restraining order worked. And she left us alone after that. And he got that because he knew if I was around him, something could happen to me.
So here he is, selfless again, not even thinking about himself, having endured, I don't know how long they were together during that time. And I spoke to Will. For those of you who don't know, I spoke to Will about that. He was in a relationship with a woman that was an aggressor. He dealt with domestic violence and didn't report it.
But she was arrested once before.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for hitting him while he was asleep.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Oh, yeah. No, it was bad. And she was arrested. So
And this, back to so Courtney Vandebunte, who, running around talking about she's a better candidate, is spreading all kinds of lies. I mean, let me read again. I just wanted to clarify this email was sent to Will below is misleading. He just sent a demand cease and desist of any advertisements or spoken word claiming or implying that he has a criminal history. And her response is, it's misleading because there is proof that he does in fact have a criminal history. That's as though somebody break in your house, they get arrested, but you have a criminal history because someone broke in your house.
And no one would ever say that.
Yeah. So you're the victim of domestic violence and you have a criminal history. How insensitive, how horrific, and how unfitting for Flagler County School Board.
Agreed.
That's me. That's what I'm saying. And then to write back to the SOE in defense And I don't know who are these two different police departments. She shared details. She did a public records request, and Will got this in a day, and she's still working. And she's been spreading these lies.
Yeah, that was 19 years ago.
Wow.
19 years ago. So
Spreading these lies among many other lies. Whoo, girl, God bless you. I don't know how you doing it. I don't know how you doing it. It's the Lord. Don't go anywhere. We got to take a break. Don't touch that dial. You're listening to Today with Pastor Jay. All right, go ahead.
Test,
Yeah.
test.
You
No,
said this
wait.
is hard because you were.
Test. Okay. So it's hard uh, a man in a domestic violence situation, because I was raised, we don't hit women, we don't fight back to women, in physically, right? And never did I have the intention of ever doing that. So, but oftentimes men are assumed the aggressor right out of the gate, but it's not the case, right? So, but it was fortunate that I was able to get out of that relationship, and I'm just truly blessed to have met my wife Jamie, and just love her so much, and grateful for the 17 blissful years of marriage that we've had together.
How are you doing? I mean, I know that this has brought up a lot of stuff for you, and we've talked about that, and I'm praying for you.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I thought this chapter of my life had been closed 19 years ago, right? But unfortunately, because of my opponent and apparently her desperation to win, is trying to dig up things from a long time ago. And so both my wife and I have had to relive those, traumatic events in our life, right? So it's too bad that it's come to this.
Yeah, and the thing about these type of things is we can have wounds that heal. I mean, you have a scar, Jamie, on your face, but the emotional scars are very hard to heal. And then to have this stuff thrown around when you are just running for school board. Have you discussed this? And I'm going to get ready to go back to it, but have you guys discussed this with your children? Is this something, do you tell your boys? I mean, that they're, that's not nothing you have to answer right now, but that their dad was a victim of domestic violence. I mean,
Well, fortunately, our kids are still young.
Yeah.
They're 10 and 11, and they fortunately have been somewhat isolated from a lot of this negativity that's been floating
Good.
around during the campaign. They're aware. They're smart kids. They pick up on some things, but overall, we've tried to protect them from this process, right? They've been a great supporter of me and my candidacy for school board, and I love them with all my heart. And so this is just a topic that I think is not necessary for them to know at this point in their life. But it's not something that I would hide from them
Right.
if I felt it could help them in the future when evaluating relationships with other people.
All right. Well, we're gonna go back in on the air with Miss Jamie Fury. How much time I have? 3 minutes. Okay. Let's see if I can get my thing to sit up a little bit. There we go. Okay. All right. Ready. I'll give a thank you and a shout out to Steve Verrier, thefloridamortgagecenter.com. Thank you for sponsoring Today with Pastor Jay. Couldn't do it without you. Jamie, before the break, and Will is in the studio, so I had an opportunity to hear his voice and his passion and his plea, and how unfortunate that this is and the desperation of his opponent, that this is just one of the instances. Um, how you good? How you handle it? I mean, I know you're like, I'll be glad when this election is over.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's tough. It's tough.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. So why do you think, let's lighten this up a little bit. Why do you think Will Furry's the best candidate?
You know,
Is it
outside of being an amazing father and husband
Yeah.
and leader in our family, I just feel like he's an honest man.
Mhm.
And I think that's really what this world needs in any position.
Mhm.
It's just honesty. And you're going to get the real deal from him. And I think that makes a good candidate for anything.
Well, considering the dishonesty that's been floating around, to include, we've only got a few minutes left, that he had, I read on the internet, I came to his defense on the internet yesterday. They were talking about he had failed businesses, this and that, 9 foreclosures, blah, 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 blah. And they were going in. Jamie, you had been proud of me. I was like, I'm sick of this. I said, let me put the record straight. He had 28 units.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
he
we thought we were doing the right thing,
Yeah.
investing for our future.
Absolutely.
We had
Oh,
no
yeah, you had
idea.
it was the recession. Everybody was
Yeah.
losing stuff, right?
But we never lost our home. And I was so proud of Will to make sure we always had a place to live.
Wow. Not only did you have a place to live, he refinanced almost all of the units. And yes, 7 did go in foreclosure. It wasn't the 9 that they claimed, but he settled the debt.
He
That's
did.
integrity.
Yeah.
He didn't file bankruptcy. You
No.
guys didn't file bankruptcy.
No.
Did you say, Will, we need to file bankruptcy? I mean,
No.
because a lot of people did. A lot of people have.
Sure.
We've got a lot of people that have run for office that did file bankruptcy, some that are in office. Not that bankruptcy is a bad thing, but it just shows the level of integrity. Even through all the investments, you guys did not lose your home.
And he reinvented himself to succeed again.
Yes.
You know, he didn't
Now,
just
hold
say, listen, I can't do this
Hold
anymore.
on. Not only did he reinvent himself, because another thing they saying is, oh, he doesn't have a college degree. Well, let me tell you something about this high school graduate, okay? This high school graduate have 2 decades of entrepreneurial and business experience. And look, I'm talking about your husband now, because I had to investigate him myself. And he has a 7-figure mass wealth.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
He's amazing. And we're a team.
How cool
we
is
work
that
together
for the
with this.
students, from the classroom to careers, saying,
Yeah.
you know what, I too can make it without a college degree.
And he's
Not saying-
educated himself in ways.
Yes.
You don't have to go to college. College is a wonderful thing. I went to college. I graduated. But Will, I always say you're so much smarter than I am. You know, you don't need a piece of paper to tell you that. You know, it's funny.
Listen, my banker makes 6 figures and she doesn't have a college degree.
See?
And she comes in and she tells me all the time, all these people coming in are making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year
Right.
with the college degree, and she doesn't have a college degree.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody.
It's not.
It's not. And you know what? I'll be proud to have him on the school board. He's going to bring,
Thank you.
he's going to help us balance out some things. And, teaching is a phenomenal, profession. I think it's great. It's honorable, but it is not a prerequisite for being on the school board, because it is not a teaching job. And people
Right.
need to realize you need people with business sense.
Yes.
Business sense. Thank you so much, Jamie. And
Thanks for
some
having
honest
me.
people. I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, guys. Well, you know what I say? Yesterday's gone and tomorrow's not promised. What are you going to do today? Today, you're going to vote for Will Furry for Flagler County Schools, because we need a decent, honest man. Rephrase. Blah, blah, blah. Look, I messed up. Can y'all believe that? Ready? I'm going to do my ending at the same. Okay. Well, you know what I say, guys? Yesterday's gone. Tomorrow's not promised. What are you going to do today? Today, you're going to vote Will Furry for Flagler County Schools. Listen, with Will, there is a way for a brighter future. All right. That's super cool. What do you think about that?
I think that's good.